Okay.
Today we're going to go over the divine prophecies and hadiths of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And, through these times, I think it's pertinent that, we go into those statements and see where we are today to show people that Noble Drew Ali really is a prophet. Um, these are statements that a few Moors have recalled hearing him say when he walked the earth. Um, a lot of people, a lot of Moors proclaimed, you know, a lot of them are familiar with this information, but it's a lot of people that are lost, the ones that are still lost, that are still black, Negro, colored, African American, that don't know about these sayings and statements, don't even know they have a nationality. So, even Jesus' teachings were to the common people. So I think it's important that everybody um, knows this information because Noble Drew Ali was a universal prophet and his teachings were universal. He just came to us, the Moorish Americans, because we needed him the most, and he is the last prophet in these days and times, meaning that, there's no need for another savior, to a particular people because God sends a prophet to a people, to of his same people. They go through the same things, you know. He knows their conditions. He speaks the same language as they speak, you know. Indians had Buddha, Chinese Confucius, the Arabs had Muhammad. Jesus was for the Jews, and Noble Drew Ali was for the Asiatics here in North America. But before I go into these statements, I want to read a notice from the author. The Prophecies and Hadiths of Prophet Noble Drew Ali with commentaries is a chapter excerpted from the upcoming reformatted third edition of my book, Noble Drew Ali, The Exhuming of a Nation. The third edition is an adept edition and will be including more enlightenments for the studious and industrious minds of Moorish goddesses and gods. Those who are slaves to hatred will find the ethers far too fine and strenuous to draw from she the holy breath found throughout this last single book edition. Inshallah, it will appear before the public domain by spring of 2007, still as death finds a certain comfort in a stagnant pond. All those in love with mental slavery will learn why their graves drop to its coldest at about 33 degrees. For the Moorish hearts and minds to be free, they must quickly follow their prophet Noble Drew Ali, himself the first conscious Moorish American whose portion was not wrath and who went not astray. He was the first and last Moorish American to uplift the Moorish Americans by teaching them to be themselves Moorish Americans. No other Moorish American leader has taught this required lesson of freedom since 1929. For 77 years, the Moorish have learned membership, masonry, U.S. citizenry, sheikdom, etc. But they have not been taught to be Moorish American, an upright, independent nation, and free. For them to follow the pointings from various blocks of wood in this new era of time now is inexcusable and madness at its lowest depths. Meanwhile, the Moorish Americans need to learn to love their holy prophet as much as he has always loved us. El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali was the only prophet ordained by the great God to save the Moorish Americans from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, who are governing a part of a Mexim at this time. I am one of less than a handful of Drew Ali's adepts remaining on this plane, and I must give to the Moorish as much saving power as he has given to me, Marvel in the revelations you receive for reading the prophecies and hadiths of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as transcribed in 1972 from Dr. Rufus German Bay to Divine Minister in Pleasant Bay, Swift Angel #1. Okay, and y'all feel free to join in if y'all got some input, to say, or, questions or whatever. That just makes the thing go by real good because we can build off each other. He said, if you doubt that I am a prophet, then watch my prophecies. He said, I forgave you of everything that you did before I came. Now you are responsible for your deeds now. And then that commentary, it said, Moors are not held accountable for the oaths taken and deeds done while they were in a coma and without knowledge of self. But now the Holy Prophet has come, returning to them their free national name and old-time religion. They are as responsible as all other true citizens. The Holy Prophet Drew Ali said, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourselves. And he said, look at the saving powers owned by all other nations of the earth. They have a free national name. They have a flag. They have an emblem. They have a constitution, land, family heritage, etc. Now look amongst everything he brought us and find yours like other nations have. Now take the things that are yours and save yourselves. He brought us our divine creed and a title to our vast estate. He gave us everything that it takes to save a nation. Now we must take those same things and save ourselves.
Lord.
Then he said, by you being born here doesn't make you a citizen. He said, Moors, be yourself. He said, Moors, study yourself. He said, a beggar nation cannot attain to its highest degree of spirituality. He said, imitate our prophet. Moorish leaders live a life of love so that you will be loved as our prophet is loved. And he said, this is the uniting of Asia. In the year 2000, the Moors will come into their own. In the year 2000. And we've seen that happen during the year 2000. I know I had first heard about Noble Drew Ali back while I was incarcerated back in 2007. There was something about this particular information, how those sheets were demonstrating and stuff like that. It had the answers because I always searched for truth. I studied since I was a little boy. This will make 30 years now, searching for truth. But the Circle 7, the one-on-ones, it put everything together. It connected the missing pieces that I was looking, as far as the Bible and Jesus, everything, even being myself, learning about myself. He said, one day when 7 bridges cross in the sky, there will be red fezzes and turbans for as far as the eyes can see. You have another statement that said, I had to go around my elbow to get to my thumb to get what I wanted established in this government. He said, the divine and national movement in North America. He said, the only way out of the fire is through the fire. A Moorish leader is not to get up to speak under the influence of liquor or any harmful motive that will seek to break up the families of men. I come to set you free from that state of mental slavery that I found you in. And that statement resonates high, because the Moors were enslaved by reducing their mentality to that of Negroes, blacks, and colored people. As a man thinketh, so is he. They had us clinging to names that diluted the slavery. When our nationality was stripped and they gave us these other names, i.e. Negro, black, colored, we started trying to be that. When no such nation or a group of people have ever been classified or recognized as that. You know, we were told that we were this by someone else. You know, and no man can change a man's decent nature unless his power extends to that of Allah.
Islam.
You know, so he came to save us from that mental state of slavery, because those are names of principles that dilute slavery. Even if you look on some of the TV shows that they be having, some of them little comedies and stuff, they actually have jokes about being black. I can't even remember that one we watched a couple years ago, and they was doing little satires of people acting black. You know, like things that rappers and they portray on TV. That's a part of the scheme to have us thinking that. And I be telling my nephew, he like to wear all the chains and stuff. I like, people don't do that in real life. You know what I'm saying? In the civilized world, you don't see people walking around with, you know, but that's the picture that they put in our mind. And you know, I can understand, because I lived on both sides. You know, I walked every plane. And I rightly understand that it is a mental condition, because I was mentally dead at one time. You know, that's why I can't trip on people that really don't know, and that's the reason why I don't argue, because, you know, I was once like that. You see what I'm saying? But it's a metamorphosis of thought. You know, he said in the book of the Seven Seals, it said, time never was, a man was not. You know, we are all thoughts of Allah. We was his thought in the beginning. We are his word made flesh. And when I say Allah, that's the same as who Christians call God, or Jehovah, or Yahweh. You know, he's the same. We call him Allah because he's the all. You can't even say Allah without saying all. You know, he's everything. He made everything that is, was, and ever most to be. We are made in his image. So when you look at how Allah is spelled, A-L-L-A-H, arm, leg, arm, head. We're made in his image. We are Allah in motion. So a lot of people get the negative connotations when they hear the name Allah, because of how things are structured in society. You know, we were stripped of our nationality and our religion. And for any Christian to beg to differ, you can Google the Christian Black Codes of 1724. And if you look at the second amendment in that, it said that that the slave masters were to impart religion upon the slaves. And then in the third amendment, or article in that, it said that only the Roman Catholic creed would be taught. So anybody that wants to beg to differ or argue, tell you can just Google it. Christian Black Codes of 1724. You know, this is what was taught to you. That's the reason why they didn't want our people to read. You know, that's why it was such a big sin for us to read. Because if we started knowing this truth, We could have been done saved ourselves. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
Lord.
We could have been done saved ourselves. You know, that's the reason why a lot of us don't know how to handle our business now, because we wasn't really taught what to read. You know, we was always steered in another direction. But yeah, it's a mental thing. You know, it's a mental thing. He said, "You are from Missouri. I've got to show you." I used to wrestle with that a lot of times, but now I understand what he's saying. Man, y'all from Missouri. I just got to show you. Missouri is a show me state. To our people, seeing is believing. You got to show them. You know? Y'all ever try to give somebody directions to get somewhere and they still didn't get it? You know what I mean? You got to keep on repeating. Sometimes you got to show them. You know what I mean? He who points the way but don't go with just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. Men need a pattern. When they see one have gone that way, you know, you get the drift. He said, "More you sleep too much. Wake up and see the 7 bridges crossing in the sky. Can you see you are a people?" Then he said, "Wake up, boys, and don't go back to sleep anymore." But I guarantee you, once you wake up to this, it's hard to go back to that state. And even if you did, you really couldn't live with yourself knowing the truth. You know what I mean? You really... Why, if you was to know the law, you know what I'm saying, and you know it about jurisdiction and status, and you won't even stand on that, that'd be kind of crazy to volunteer to go to jail or to do involuntary servitude when you know the law. That's just crazy. He said, "We need to have warehouses because one day the Europeans are going to let you down." And yes, you know, we need to work on that, getting warehouses. And once we go into some more of these statements, you'll see why. He said, "If I were you, I would get ready before you are made to do so. If you are ready, stay ready. If you are not ready, then get ready." That's self-explanatory. You know, it's like I tell people, if you can't understand the earthly things, then there's no sense in trying to comprehend or try to break down the heavenly things. You can't recognize the signs and see what's going down, especially ones that know this information. You know, but it was like that in the times of Noah. God gave Noah some instructions on how to build that ark. And he preached while he built. Said it was gonna rain. People laughed at him. He ain't mean to do nothing. You know, just like now. Just like now. Oh, that's more living in fear. No, that's following the spirit of the words of the prophet Obadiah.
Yes, Lord.
You know, he even said, if you're ready, stay ready. But if you're not ready, you need to get ready. Regardless of if people think that it's living in fear, no, that's following some specific orders. Because this is really going down. It's really going to happen. A lot of these things have already happened and are happening now and are about to happen in the future. That's why I gotta let my people know. You know, as quiet as it is kept, most Moors don't even, you know, recognize the oral statements. They'll say some of them, but then the other ones, they, you know, just use them when they get ready to use them. But This would be for the common people. There's no sense in just us knowing this and nobody else know it. You know, it don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense. He said before the European came here, the bananas were large and the grapes were 4 in hand. It took 2 men with hand sticks to carry 1 bunch of grapes. And it said that the Moors were living up and down the Mississippi River before the European man came here. It said the Europeans went to the Moroccan government and asked for permission to come over here to northwest of Mexico to develop this land. They were given a 50-year mandate to do so. Then the Europeans went to an old sheik and asked him to give them some people to help them to develop this land. The sheik told them to take those Moors because they ain't gonna do anything. He said, take those Moors, they ain't gonna do nothing. You know. And you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Alright, the European is gonna have to pay our people off for the work that they did in slavery and pay off in compounded interest. Said one day the Europeans are going to lock the food up in warehouses, put soldiers around them to guard them, and you will go anywhere he says to get something to eat. Now, that looks like something that's about to start unfolding now. Once you start seeing these National Guards and stuff around here, you know, they setting up shop. They say they little medical spots or whatever, checkpoint. But there's gonna come a time when those same soldiers are gonna be standing at the grocery store, at Walmart or whatever, telling you to move on. You know, back in the day when I first read these, I was like, wow. I'm thinking it was something that's gonna happen way on down the line, but that thing started to unfold now. You know, they already have the, once a week shopping in certain places where you can get groceries and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's going down. He said one day the European is going to let you down. You're going to have to put up a 90-day supply of food to last you until your brothers come to your rescue from the east. You know.
Saving the food now.
Yes, yeah. Very important to start saving up. You know. Get prepared. That's part of getting ready. Well, most of the borders are shut down too. And a lot of places not trading and stuff. You know. Tell you. That wrath is coming. It's coming. It's going down. You know, this is something that was already prophesied to come. It's in the Bible many different times. And what people got to understand, like the different prophets that wrote in the Bible, talk about the same things. They be the same stories over and over. Just like I can make the connection of David being in the cave of Adullam. It's a blind Bartimaeus. You know, all of them, they saying the same thing. He said one day you're going to smell the Europeans before you see them in boxcars going back to Europe. The European will not be able to remove all the wealth from the land. After he goes back to Europe, mountains of gold will be revealed to the Moors. Kind of put me in mind of that, what was that movie with Nicolas Cage, The National Treasure, over in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
With the underground cities and stuff like that. All that treasure. Well, actually, we're a national treasure. You know. We're the Holy Grail. You know, they talk about the Da Vinci Code, the movie with Tom Hanks, the Da Vinci Code. The Holy Grail. You know, that's the secret that would devastate the foundations of Christianity. That bloodline. We that secret bloodline. We the Da Vinci Code. I said that first too. Alright. He said, I like good peas and beans. I'm going to save 8% of the Europeans because they are good farmers. If the European be just, they would have an Asiatic vice president, and if they had an Asiatic president, they would have a European vice president. And we saw that happen with Obama and his administration. He said, I'm going to stop the European from thinking and start you, the Moors, to thinking for your own good. We cannot think for our own good for some reason. That's why he said a beggar nation cannot attain to his highest degree of spirituality, because we're not thinking. The prophet said, if I can get you to thinking again, you can save yourself. That's what I told one of my Moabs up in Chicago. I was like, what they expect me to do? Twirl around on the cake? You know what I'm saying? All I gotta do is get you to thinking. What Tupac said, he said, I might not change the world, but I will spark the brain that will change the world. Remember, it's mental slavery. I'm going to connect all of them together. He said, one day your biggest trouble won't be getting with European women. It will be fighting them off. Get a good European education, and I can use you. And that's very important, because, you know, they know about contract law, corporations, you know, they know the functions of it. They're exercising it. You know, when more they have paperwork talking about expressing the trust, you know, that paperwork don't express it. It's your actual getting involved, the utility of the understanding that you have, or the knowledge that you have. You know, it's good to know trust law and all that, but how do you utilize it? You know, how you bring it forth into fruition? You know, so a good education, you know, it goes a long way. Shows you how to read things. Because in final pay, I found that out myself. I had to find out, man, they read that law to the letter. Capitalization, punctuation, all that stuff. You know, good to have a good education. Be very useful. He said the holy prophet, while speaking, would jump up in the air and laugh and say, Rome, 2,000 years ago, you got me, but I got you today. Let's ponder on that one. 2,000 years ago, they got Rome. You know what I mean? I mean, Rome got it. You know, he crucified according to the law. But in this day, you got it. And then with all the pestilence and stuff that's going on, all the plagues that's going on, you ain't gonna have a choice but to have. Because they're gonna take a prophet to intercede for that. He even got them today with the vast estate express trust, giving our people that nationality, their divine creed, because you know they're going to wake up. You know they're going to wake up in the future. So about third or fourth generation more is going to realize the good that I brought. Kind of like a treasure hunt all these years, because the movement went underground. You know, I remember, he said, you ain't careful, be 50 years done went by, you ain't gonna know I was even here. And he's gonna say it's gonna take another 50 years to realize what I bought you. And then what Allah bless old Cannon Bay, to do. That's mm, 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 mm. A lot of people want to see how is it gonna work. Get in there and work it. It's there. It's here. He said, I'm going to leave the European here long enough to teach you how to run a government. He said, watch the newspaper and listen to the radio. I'm going to make the European tell the truth. And those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you can see that going on right now. You know, a lot of people just have to use the tools in the workshop of their minds, like that axe, to cut away the knot on game part. All you gotta do is just listen to some of the stuff they be saying, the key words and stuff. You'll be able to decipher. You'll be like, hey, these folks are righteously telling it. A lot of whistleblowers out there. You know. I know on my journey, I started listening to Jordan Maxwell. You know, he was titled on how he put things, talked about the corporations and straw man and, you know, shadow governments and all that stuff. And then in the search engine, that's when I ran across Tariq Bey. That's how I ran across Taj. I studied some of everybody, you know. But Taj, he was real key into showing me a lot of things. And I salute him for that. Salute. He said, the Europeans asked the Holy Prophet, will we be saved this time? He said, the only way you, the European, can be saved this last time will be through the help of the Moors. Will be the help of the Moors. And I believe that through like government and trade. And I also believe, you know, with our DNA.
Yeah.
With our DNA. Because our blood and our DNA is vital. You know, it's a power in that blood. You know. Why else would you have to beat the European women off? You know. I know it's a lot of mingling today, but you gonna literally have to fight them off you. You know what I mean? So don't be surprised, because when they talk about the vaccine and the testing and stuff, they need your blood. When they be killing our people over the street, they organ harvesting. You know. Said the Europeans were not going to give up until he looked death in the face. He said, children, when you get on top, treat the European nice. The European is our fellow man. He is our fellow man. You know. I have a lot of European friends. A lot of European friends. You know, that treated me better than my own kind. I'm talking like seriously. You know. That's our fellow man. There's some good ones out there. There's some good ones that I've considered as brothers. You know, they mamas were my mama. You know, that's our fellow man. He said, they, the Europeans, will seek peace, but none shall be found. He said, I'm going to stop the Europeans from thinking if 2 or 3 of them get together on something, they will go back and tear it up. If you want European grand sheets, I can give them to you. I said, I've got the Romans in the palm of my hand. So one day the United States will not be able to do any business unless they do it through the Asiatics. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. You know, they're going to have to do business through us. That's why we're going to have to wake up and learn how to administrate government and quit playing. You know, this is why Allah is mad. This is why he's mad. And this great sin has got to be removed from the land. You know, we're supposed to be governing ourselves. Getting back in the covenant with God. You know, and that Constitution is a covenant with God. That's getting your sins washed away. Because you back in covenant with God. That's letting his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Anything outside of yourself is a contract. Whether your wife fix you breakfast, that's a contract. You know? Offer and acceptance. I just see how you connect it all together. You know, this thing is simple. It's simple, for real, for real. He said, I'm going to make the Europeans enforce my law. He said, let all old business stay as it is, and all new business do it in your free national name. He said, let your good deeds outnumber your bad deeds, and when you pass away, you won't have anything to worry about.
Question. What is our free national name?
Our free national name is Moorish America. That's our free national name. He said, my good Moors are going to live. The good Moors are going to live. That's why I don't be worried about all the talk. Because those that's not getting right with them, I'm sorry, you're going to die. Seriously. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The good Moors going to live, though. Because, like I say, we tear here for many ages. Those that was against them then, they're against them now. And the ones that are against them now, I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you. We the Moors have the blood of every nation flowing through our veins, thereby bringing about a cross spirit. You ever notice how you see like certain different nationalities, certain ones looking like somebody we know? Like you might see a Mexican, but oh, that put me in mind of such and such. You might see a Chinese or a Japanese, but like that put me in mind of such and such. We got that cross spirit. And also the reason why, you know, some of our temperance, you know, we got the blood of every other nationality running through our veins. They have our blood. So it's quite natural that, you know, they're gonna act and look like the archetype. You know, it's encoded. It said the Italians have our blood, meaning the blood of the Moors, mixed in their veins. That is why they are so mean. We got some mean folks. We some mean people, man. I'm trying to tell you. You know, that's where them temples come in at. The Moors got them temples. Mean people. He said, I didn't tell anyone where I was born or who my parents were because I didn't want people to make a shrine out of the place or make over my parents like was done with Joseph and Mary. He said, we the Moors are a hard-headed, stiff-necked, mean set of people that have never done anything except at the point of a sword. Man. Hey, even like if you ever see the first 48 or whatever, and if folks know they done did something, you know what I mean? And they still deny it. Crazy for doing some of the stuff we do. He said, you tore up everything that was brought to you, but I brought you something that you can't tear up. It will tear you up. He even said even like with government, like they really wasn't ready for government at that time. He said, if I would have gave you government then, you would have sold it back to the Europeans. They gotta quit talking about, that's what he had enshrouded in his religion, the government. He said, the same truth that will draw you will drive you. He said, I brought you something that you can shout about. Children, you were just plain rich. He said, let all old business stay as it is, and all new business do it in your free national name. This is what I was talking about earlier. He said, it will take you 50 years to find out what I brought you. And if you are not careful, 50 years after I'm gone, you won't know that I've been here. So true. He said, children, one day you're going to love me. He said, the biggest fool is the educated fool. He said, Moors should learn Spanish as a second language. And that, I see that as being true. If you look at what's going on now in this melting pot, this land here in North America, what other language are we going to need to know? Seeing that, our brothers, the Mexicans, are here. We're going to have to learn how to trade with them also. But in order for us to even do business and get along, we need to know the language also. But they over here, they need to know. All of this is America, North, South, Central. Spanish is one of the other languages that's spoken over here. Even in law, a lot of the Latin terms, proper persona in Latin is the same as in Spanish. Being in your proper person. Taj even let us know that we speak Moorish Latin. That's what Spanish is, Moorish Latin. It's our stuff we just forgot. We forgot. He said, don't even carry a pocket knife. He said, if it were not for that little piece of red flannel, we would not get into so much trouble. Woo.
Speaking of the tongue.
Yeah, you talking about that tongue. Hey, we talk ourselves out of blessing sometimes. With our mouth. That tongue is very important. I mean, I've seen unfolding and I see stuff and I see folk conversations and then I see what happens after that and because of what they speak out their mouth. It literally happens. The tongue gets you in trouble. He said the only thing that hurts a duck is his bill. Talking too much. Talking too much. He said a good Moorish leader must study his Holy Quran and divine constitution and bylaws. Study it. Study it. Said the Holy Prophet pointed his finger and said, my sheep know the sound of my voice. A stranger will not follow. Jesus also said that in his day, that his sheep would know his voice. His sheep, on a stranger won't follow. Because what? The light was the light of men. The light walked amongst the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. Couldn't understand. Wasn't his sheep. Jesus even said that I think Mary, his mama Mary and James was he was like, who is my mama and my brother? Said he who keeps my father's commandments, that's my mother and my brother. Only the sheep gonna hear his voice. A stranger will not follow. They're gonna be the ones that always trying to fight against what you're saying, just trying to find everything they can to credit. You can give folks the truth, and they'll find ways to debunk that. That's one of the reasons why we can't even get ahead. That's one of the main reasons why we can't get ahead. Worry about the wrong things instead of getting together and rightfully advancing. That's still a form of mental slavery. When folks do that, want to shoot down something good, don't do nothing but criticize. They won't put on them gloves and pick up the shovel and help you dig. They want to just sit back and point. Oh, you need to dig on that side over there. You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. It's crazy. He said, I have come just before the fire. When the fire comes, I will be your water. And if you do not get behind me, you will not make it through. You will not make it through. He said, I'm going to let the fire touch some of your old more shirt tails. Oh, he said, I'm going to let the fire scorch some of my good moors. One day, you're going to look for the good moors, and you won't be able to find them. Probably going to be ducked off somewhere on that apparatus, that incline, till destruction is over with. He said, stay out the alley with your turbans and fezzes on. And the commentary on that one was, during those days, many Moorish will put on their headdress of freedom, turbans and fezzes, in parentheses, on their heads, but had Negro thought patterns in their heads. Listen to the commentary again. He said, during those days, many Moorish will put on their headdress of freedom on their heads, but had Negro thought patterns in their heads. They would frequent bars, dives, and alleyways as though they had brimmed hats and caps on their heads. And then I know in another commentary of this oral statement, it said that a sister was being loose and going to the alley, to act on a certain act. And he was like, stay out the alley with the turbans. It said, carry your fez to the temple. The only thing that would surprise me is if a Moor would do right. And that stuff we say coming up, man, you just ain't gonna act right here. Some more just won't act right. They just ain't gonna act right. What Plies said, it was my fault I kept it too real. Because some folks just won't act right. There's always an ulterior motive behind something. Just won't act right, man. It said for the various lynchings and murders that were committed in the South is going to have to pay off, and pay off in blood. He said if you have people in the South, get them out, because that is where destruction is going to start. He said that the times that have been won't be no more. The times that have been, they won't be no more. When this destruction comes, he even said it's going back to the horse and buggy day. He even said you're going to see a $20 bill in the streets and won't even pick it up. As much as we chase that paper dollar, it's going to come a time we're going to see a $20 bill in the streets and won't even pick it up. And some of my people be needing 50 cents to buy a single cigarette. But it's going to be a $20 bill on the ground. And you won't even pick it up. That dollar finna crash. You know. Like I said, get ready. Just trying to show you things that, you know, every word that I speak is spirit. And you the more is better take heed. You have juice? Okay.